someone is telling me like your personality crystallizes between the age of 15 and 18, you know? And so, it's like the building blocks and the foundations of your life are so influential on the next 70 years of your life. And it's almost like it comes down to like not changing how you think about things, but living with it, you know, and like recognizing like there's a barrier here. How do I work around it rather than trying to remove that barrier as a whole?
Yeah. I'll give you a little, I guess, abbreviated explanation. So if you think about, you know, how the sense of self is shaped, right? It's generally shaped by, you know, interactions that we have early on in life with caregivers or significant others, peers, teachers, you know, whoever's in our immediate life, right? And so if you think about, let's just say a child who lives with a really angry parent, right, or parents, so often their interactions are marked by hostility from the parents, right? That child's sense of self is going to be, I'm bad because I evoke hostility from other people. There must be something wrong with me. I'm bad. And other people are hostile, right? So that becomes kind of a core belief in the child, right? And so then they develop strategies to deal with that. So maybe one strategy is to be perfect or always be good, right? And so then that shapes the sense of self, because underneath that is that underlying belief, I'm bad. So a compensatory strategy would be to be really good. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
I imagine when that gets shattered, like you get in trouble, it's it's
devastating for people.
Sure.
Right? And, you know, it makes people live in fear that they're going to be found out, that they're actually really bad. But the bad, it's just a label, right? That's put on, you know, to explain what happened, right? Like what actually happened was I had all these experiences and memories where, you know, I was yelled at or beaten or whatever it might be, right? So the way I've made sense of it, right? Because we like to make sense of things. So we construct a story, right? So the story is I'm bad. Well, to defend against that, I'm going to be good. And I'm going to people please, and I'm going to never say no to people.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. I'm just...
No, I totally understand. I'm just thinking
with something
about
really simple.
Yeah, this thing with like perfectionism. Like I know somebody who had these issues with like trying to be perfect all the time.
Yeah.
And just interesting seeing what you're talking about and where that could potentially come from.
Yeah. Brene Brown. Of course, we couldn't, you know, have a podcast without
of course
referring to Brene Brown. But, you know, she has a quote that I like, and it is, whenever perfectionism is in the driver's seat, shame is riding shotgun.
Ooh.
That was a good one, right?
I really like that. Yeah.
Because it's a protection against that. Shame is I'm not enough.
Sure.
Right? Or I'm bad, or I'm defective, I'm unworthy. You know, so to get away from that, the answer is to be perfect.
And which is so, as well as that, like this idea of like perfectionism is probably very highly valued as well, especially in this capitalist society.
Totally.
It's like, well, why would I want to address that? You know, in a business world, that is ideal, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, you know, even in, you know, I don't know, there's some ways of working with people that are all about striving, right? And like reaching goals and, you know, being excellent.
Hustle, grind, make money, achieve.
All that. Yeah. And to me, it just promotes this notion, right? And it's like, you know, where's good enough? You know, where's self-acceptance? Where's, you know, like you can still, that's often, you know, we started out the conversation talking about the internal critic, right? And so I'll often ask people, you know, what would happen if that wasn't there? So in that moment that you know, made the mistake, or if you imagine that you could press a button right now and this internal critic wouldn't be there anymore, right? Because you're telling me how much you wish you didn't do it. You don't want it, you know? They always say, oh, but if I didn't have that, I would be totally complacent. I wouldn't strive anymore. It pushes me to be better.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, it actually doesn't, because like I said, if you have a loud internal critical voice, you're going to be in fight or flight a lot of the time, right? And if you're in fight or flight a lot of the time, that's going to impair your performance actually rather than enhance it, So if you can have more self-compassion, that's really the antidote, to self-criticism or to shame. Is like, if I struggle with something, but I can relate to myself in a compassionate way, like I would to my best friend if they made the same mistake, I'm going to be far better off. I'm not going to be so anxious. I'm not going to be so depressed because I'm kind of on my own side.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like having your own back.
Yeah, it's interesting to the idea of like the whole motivation and the driving force.
Yeah.
Where it's like you can have different types of drivers.
Yeah.
And I guess somebody...
Like you need an encourager, right? Or like a cheerleader, or, I often get people to like imagine, like working on developing another part of themselves, right? That could be there and kind of, or how we could kind of transform the self-critic, okay, this is what the self-critic would say. What if we gave it more of an encouraging quality?
It's like the devil and the angel on the shoulder.
Yeah,
right?
What would be different about how you would talk to yourself? Because so much of what keeps us stuck in our patterns is the way we relate to ourselves.